Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mike London Show here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I am, of course, the host, the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, and as we do each and every week, we are blessed, thankful, and honored to be able to speak to the head coach of the Howard Bison. That's none other than Coach Mike London. Coach, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. We're going to give us a recap on this week. Another strong performance by the Bison. You come up short this week, but instead of me talking about it, we'll go ahead and get you lined up and give us a recap on your guys' performance.
Yeah, I'm very, 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 very proud of the team, the way we played, the way we responded to being on the road again with another FBS opponent, my 57 scholarship versus their 85. But great effort by our guys. They hang in there in the last quarter, going back and forth, had a chance to drive the field and score a tying touchdown. But I tell you what, I've been very, very pleasantly surprised about the attitude and the effort and the energy that have been displayed over the last couple of weeks with my guys, particularly the UNLV big win, and then coming back on the road again, playing Kent State, another FBS opponent. So, it's been a real pleasant surprise. And we talked about Mission Possible being the statement, for the team. But the effort has been unbelievable in terms of collectively and individually by some players. So, it's 1 week at a time. So we're 1-1 right now. Now our next opponent is a school very familiar with me, is my alma mater, University of Richmond. But, our guys are very confident, and we look forward to the competitive challenge.
Well, Coach, I know that, whenever you got a coach that, goes back to a place where they worked or a place that they have a connection to, it's always, a storyline. But let's be honest, Coach, we're going back to your alma mater. This is a very big game for your Bison, and it's also a game that you're familiar with from both sides. How are you internalizing all this as you get prepared for the Spiders this week?
Well, I mean, to be honest, human nature is such a large element of this thing. That's where I went to school, and I coached there on a couple of different occasions, and being a head coach there and winning a championship there. So, the players are different; they're no longer there, but some of the people in the community, that are still there. I mean, it's significant. I've been in contact with alumni there over the years because they're friends of mine. But I am the Howard University Bison head football coach, and my energies and efforts and our game plan and everything is geared towards giving Howard the best opportunity to compete and go win this game. Particularly at their at Richmond. So it's the human elements are all intertwined with it. But the fact that, I'm responsible for getting our team prepared, come up with a game plan with the coaching staff, continuing with the effort, with the mentality, the mission possible is what we've been talking about since we began. And finding ways for us to be successful, not only on the field, when we go play Richmond, but in the classroom and in the community. So I can't, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, it doesn't mean a lot. It does because of the elements can, attached to it. But at the same time, it's a chance to go 2-1, something we haven't enjoyed in a long, long time, and a chance again to get back on the winning side of things after tasting that UNLV victory.
We're speaking right now with Coach Mike London, head coach of the Howard Bison, coming off a very competitive loss against Kent State. We don't count more victories, but in this case, you really got to look at it with the glass being half full. Now, Coach, you've been coaching for a while. You're a former ball player, and you got to be honest with me. Are you surprised at how fast the players have responded to the transition since you've taken over at Howard right now?
Mike, I'm a relationship-oriented guy, and you mentioned the glass half filled. That's how I look at life, and that's always been my approach. Having been a police officer in the city of Richmond and having a gun pulled, the trigger pulled, and not going off, I feel blessed and very fortunate to be here. Being a bone marrow donor to my daughter and saving her life, and the doctor said the odds that a parent could be a bone marrow donor to their daughter. And so I'm always a glass half filled person, and when you look at challenges and things that happen to you in life, you always try to find ways to look to the positive of it. And so, it is what it is. People like to talk about, but the goal and what we talk about is being competitive on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. And I've seen the guys buy into it. People don't care about how much you know to know about how much you care. And being a relationship-oriented guy, I just think it's important that we talk about what a role model is, a mentor, what they should see us as fathers when they come to, it's Sunday. And so our families come, on Sundays for dinner. And so I want them to see us as fathers, as a husband. And so those kind of things outweigh the NFL, years that they may play if they're fortunate enough to get into the league. But they're going to be a husband and father much longer than they're going to be an NFL player. And they got to be educated. So those things are important for me to make sure that we can talk about those things being critically important. So I'm just a tool. I'm an advocate. I'm a servant leader, for this team, for this university, for the community in which I live in, and to do the best is what we're supposed to do while we're here on this earth.
Well, Coach, you just touched on something I was fully aware of, didn't want to touch on it, but if you don't mind, I want to go back and revisit when you were the bone marrow transfer for your daughter. What was that like for you? I know it was an easy decision to make, but that has nothing, comparable to what, like football wins and losses. We're talking about your flesh and your blood, and you got a chance to make a difference. What was that like for you as a father to be at that moment?
Well, first, when my daughter Tyson, who, by the way, is a senior now at Old Dominion University, was diagnosed with Fanconi anemia, which is your body's inability to fight, off infections and, affect your white blood cells. And so, as a young parent, I was at Boston College at the time. You're panicky, you're frantic, what are we going to do? Why me, Lord? And so the only thing you can do is respond in a way that, well, what's next to do? So we joined the National Bone Marrow Registry. By the way, to find a bone marrow donor for African Americans is very, very rare, as opposed to Caucasians and other nationalities. So it's important to get registered to a National Bone Marrow Registry. We did that. We couldn't find a match with my sister or brother's kids. Some of our own, my wife and I, Regina's kids. We couldn't find a match, and finally, the doctor said, "Hey, let's try you." The odds are not great, and so I remember I was leaving Boston College and going to the University of Virginia, and Al Grove was the head coach there, and Johns Hopkins Hospital was probably one of the best hospitals in the world for bone marrow transplants. So we did a test on me and found out that I was the match, and so it's unbelievably. Every time I think about it, it's overwhelmingly emotional. It's one of those things again. Once in a lifetime, rare that something like this would happen. But that's why I'm such a big advocate of anything's possible. I'm a big advocate of, people may count you out on some things, but you just never say never. And we had the bone marrow transplant at Johns Hopkins Hospital. And, it was just one of those things that it took. And, she's a healthy, living, breathing individual now, as a senior at Old Dominion. So, between the police officer experience and everything else, I probably shouldn't be standing here talking to you. I'm a parent that has enjoyed seeing his daughter mature and become an educated woman. Probably shouldn't be, talking about that as well. But I am, and so I'm grateful. And now my job is I'm a servant leader. Now my job is to pour into other young men about the possibilities of things that can happen if you do what you're supposed to. So, and that's I guess that's it. I'm sorry for rambling on, but you caught me on a topic that I get emotional about it because I know that with man things are impossible. With God, all things are possible. And so I'm a glass half full guy, and I'll always be that way.
Well, there is no need to apologize at all, sir. And I'm glad that you were able to share, not only with me, but the listeners to this program. And when you look at it from that perspective, that makes coaching football easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does. And, people talked about when I was a police officer in Richmond, I did undercover work. I did street crimes work and, having guns pulled on you, stuff like that. I can take what a fan says in the stands. It's in real life situations where people pointing weapons at you and, shooting and things like that. So my perspective on a lot of things have changed. Out of the standards of the team, go to class, show class, and treat people with dignity and respect. Really, the last part came out of being a police officer, because literally what comes out of your mouth is the power of life and death, and what you can escalate or de-escalate situations. And I just learned that it goes back to, again, about how you treat people and the things that you do, that you can ease a situation or you can raise the intensity of it. So I don't know, Mike, it's just been really blessed and fortunate in a lot of places where I've been, and to be at Howard as the head football coach here and have a chance to influence, it's a great opportunity, and I look forward to playing the next week's game and all the other opportunities that present itself afterwards.
So, man, you're talking about and a bag full of emotions right now. You have this internal motivation with your daughter coming. That's an everyday grinding, and I wouldn't even grind, it's not even the right word, but that's just an everyday motivating force to keep you going through the grind, I should say. And then you're coming home to play against the Spiders, or the Arañas, if you want to go with the Hispanic version of it. And all of this going on, devastation from the South, devastation coming from the East Coast, and all these things whirling around, and then somewhere in between, we got to line up and strap up with this football game, and yet we can still take the opportunity to be mindful and thankful of everything that we have connected to us, whether it's socially, personally, and more importantly, spiritually. And that's what part of these shows are about. They're not just about X's and O's, but the people see the human side of the coaches and of the players. So the next time you do have a fan up there, and they might not like a play that was made, or a guy blew a ball, it wasn't like they tried to do this on purpose. Let's shake it off and let's move on to the next play. Right.
It's interesting. You talk about those things that we can control, we can't control, and this Friday night, I asked anybody on the before a meeting. I said, hey, listen, is anybody affected by these hurricanes? Anybody from Florida or in the areas that are out of line areas that might be affected? And there was a good number of players that stood up. And so here you are trying to get mentally, get psyched up to go play a game, but their minds and perhaps even their hearts were somewhere else. Their family members that are either stranded or trying to get out of the Miami area. So, we talked about it. We said a prayer and just knew that, listen, that I get it. We got a game coming on here, but there are more things that are critically important. And the fact that we just got up and hugged each other, some of them cried a couple times, because it's real life stuff that goes on. And we play a game. A game is fun. But, just keeping things in perspective, as we even speak now, there's things that are going on. And so our hearts and prayers go out to the people of Miami and the outer coast and the areas that the storm is traveling up is going to affect their lives forever. And here we are, guys blessed with skills and abilities and talents. They got a chance to go play college football. So we're not going to forget those other things that are critically important to our everyday development, and that's other people.
Speaking with Coach Mike London, very insightful show this week, Coach, because we know the X's and O's will come and go, but when you're able to make an impact on individuals or a community, in which your case here, or a public servant as a first responder, and a lot of people have up and down emotions about police officers, and then the personal touch with you and your daughter situation, the success that the Bison are having and molding young men to be future husbands and fathers and productive members in society. It lets it be an honor to have you on this network. It's an honor to call you friend, brother, and everything else associated. And just glad that we were able to peel back a layer, if you will, and learn a little bit more about Coach Mike London on this week.
Well, Mike, I will be there when you're there, whenever you need me. And there's a lot of people out there that obviously go through things, and times are tough, and blessings sometimes escape us. But at the same time, the reality of just don't give up. And I'm a Jeremiah 29:11. If I know the plans I have for you, and so The glass half filled analogy is something that I believe in, and because people need somebody to pour into them, and that's why the community service stuff is important. That's why the role modeling is important. All those things.
Absolutely, and as always, Jeremiah 29:11 is a very strong and solid scripture to say, I know the thoughts for you before you were even thought of yourself.
That's right.
And in a nutshell, stop letting God be your spare tire and let him become your steering wheel.
That's a good one. That's good, man.
Well, Coach, look, as always, man, we want to wish you luck as you come home. I know it's going to be splitting hairs, going back to your old stomping grounds, but now you got a boatload of bison with you right now, and they come and mean in business, man. And you guys have already shook up football, at least for the 2017 campaign, and you might as well keep shaking it up. You're out the gate with 3 tough opponents, and I know you're just looking to breathe. Well, yeah, we're playing right, but good night. This is a nightmarish schedule, and not that the conference is going to get any easier or anything. But your guys are going to be very battle tested coming up for this season.
Yeah, like I said, the MEAC conference in itself, and some of the coaches and players are really good coaches and players, and so it's a competitive challenge, and it's. We have played 2 FBS schools and in Richmond, and to get into our conference play. So we should be somewhat battle tested. And so we look forward to the challenge and just being competitive in this game and the games, ongoing.
Well, Coach, I look forward to another strong report, man, because right now that you leave the betting area, which there's no betting allowed in college football for those that are listening. But, man, as they say, they got to let it ride on you, brother. They got to let it ride on you.
Maybe needs a new pair of shoes. So,
all right.
Yeah. We're excited about traveling down to Richmond, so I look forward to it, Mike.
All right, Coach Mike London and the Bison taking on the Richmond Spider this week. And, of course, each and every week we will be here to give a recap and looking forward with Coach London and the Bison right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Until the next week, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.